this video, we're talking about two things that are destroying the condition of comic books. And having done this for 5 years, every single time I see these two things, it makes me cringe. But I'm hoping to spread awareness and reduce both of these two things. We're going to be talking about some storage techniques and some handling techniques that cause damage to comic books. But before we do, I want to do a couple little prefaces here and talk about a few things before we hop into the examples. And also check out brycecomics.com. We just added these new books. We got a FF1 available for trade. We got a First Lobo to 9.8, fourth print Something's Killing the Children, Sergeant Fury, Conan, a beautiful 8.5 white page copy of ASM 40, and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. First Gambit, First Venom. Constantly new stuff hitting the inventory. By the time you're watching this, there'll be a new Hulk 181, but sign up for the newsletter at brycecomics.com to where you get first access to new collections when they come through. And we have to announce the winners for the newsletter giveaway from March. Congratulations to this guy. You won this slab. And congratulations to this guy. You won this slab for the YouTube giveaway for March. And we always have a YouTube giveaway. If you subscribe, comment, and like, you're entered to win this month's brand new giveaway. And once again, if you sign up for that newsletter at brycecomics.com, you're entered to win this month's free slab giveaway. Also, follow me over on Whatnot. $1 starts on slabs tomorrow. If you're watching this the day it comes out, and we typically have slab shows on Fridays with $1 starts. Tons of giveaways, chances at awesome prizes, and a whole lot of fun over on Whatnot. So I hope to see you there. There's a link down below for $15 towards your first purchase. I always have stuff in the buy it now for $15, so you can stop by and pick up a free book. So I want to preface by saying that there are tons of different sizes of comic books and tons of different bag and board setups that you can use, and some things are better for others. But what I want to talk about here is my go-to setup for bronze, silver, and modern. You can have the same bag that's really decent for an average collection. Same bag for bronze, silver, and modern for average value collection. You know, if you have mega grails, I wouldn't put an AF-15 in some of the setups that we're talking about here. I would have something a little special for that. So just prefacing it by saying that this is for an average collection, you know, because it's also affordable for a large collection. Because that's one of the biggest considerations when it comes to bags and boards is the price. But I used to use BCW bags and boards because they were the cheapest. And about 4 years ago, I've been doing this for 5 years, I had an entire submission to CGC. It was a 9.8 pre-screen, 25 book submission. The entire thing got rejected because the bags and boards didn't provide enough protection just in the short trip from my house to CGC and handling, and they were all damaged. And so that was a major loss. And at that point, I knew that I needed to invest in better bags and boards, because to take a huge loss like that, it's just not worth it. And it would actually have a return on investment to get better quality bags and boards. So I switched to Comic Pro line, regular/silver size. Because they work with dealers and stuff too. If you're a retailer, they work with you and give you like a 20% off code. You can contact them on their website. I did notice that on their website earlier today, it said that they were taking a brief break or something. So hopefully by the time this video comes up, the website will be back online. So it was the perfect solution, because the Mylar would be a higher quality bag, but it's not feasible. It's not financially feasible to have your entire collection in that unless you want to spend a lot of money. And unless it's a really, really expensive, high grade, you know, vintage comics, it wouldn't be a good ROI to do that, because you don't want to put, you know, books that are only worth a few dollars in a $1 bag. So this was the perfect solution, and let's hop into the other camera and take a look at some examples. All right, so this is a collection, or a piece of a collection that I recently bought. I might do a video on the whole thing. I also might do another video on why I don't sell raw books like this, like why I don't just sell the raw books. So no, these books aren't available for sale at the moment. I actually still need to process it here, but most of them will head off to get graded. But I just wanted to show, you know, a couple things that I noticed. So this collection was stored in BCW bags and boards, and I'll put up a picture of what the BCW bags retail package looks like. And as you can see, there's this big gap up here at the top, and then the leading edge down here at the bottom is basically the comic. Like essentially the comic is able, especially if it's pointed like this way, it's like dragging on the box, you know. And I've noticed that, you know, a lot of these books are really, really valuable, but a lot of them have bottom edge damage because of this. And, you know, it's the first thing that touches the comic book. And sometimes you get lucky and you can still get 9.8s. And actually, this is what I was talking about of what, you know, caused me to switch away from BCW bags. Is one time I had, you know, the entire submission that came back rejected because of that leading edge. So let's take this one as an example and hope it's still a 9.8 and show the difference between 3 different types of bag and board setups that we have here. So this is the BCW that it's currently in. So luckily this book does appear like it can still achieve the 9.8 after a quick press. It'll take care of all that rippling. In fact, that rippling is allowed in the 9.8. But here you can see down on this little corner, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this little tiny bit of wear, it could still get a 9.8 just the way it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if that happened because of the bag and the little bindery tear here at the bottom of this corner probably might not have been so bad if it was in a different bag setup. So we saw what it looked like in here with the BCW, and this is the Comic Pro line setup, and this is the Mylar setup. And as you can see, this is a BCW. You know, the Mylar and the Comic Pro line are very, very similar, and I'll show them side by side here. So this is the Comic Pro line retail packaging. This is the 2mm crystal clear OPP, and it is the same backing board as the BCW backing boards. It's just a generic regular 24-point backing board, I think it is. And I almost wouldn't recommend going any thicker with the backing boards. This is the full back board for the Mylar. It's called a full back. But what happens if you go too thick on the backing board, because Comic Pro line also offers like a super thick 56-point, basically a little piece of wood, just a brick, it doesn't fit the bag correctly. So if you do the thickest board that they offer with this bag, now it's too tight, and it's a diminishing return on investment because it doesn't fit properly. So I think this is good enough for me. So you put it on the board like that, and then put it in, being careful not to grab the corners, and put it in. So this is what it looks like in the Comic Pro line. And as you can see, look what leads the edge, the board. That's exactly what you want to lead the edge. So if it, you know, drops on its corner or whatever, the board will bend and not the book. So this adds a whole bunch of protection by not having the book be the thing that leads the edge. And then also this bag is way sturdier than the BCW. And so that adds a layer of protection because even the bag is protecting against corner damage. So this is a pretty darn good setup. If you're looking at like a bulk thing to do your whole collection, that's what I recommend. It's relatively affordable and adds substantially more protection than the BCW. And let's compare it to the BCW. And again, when you take it out, you want to take the board out with the book. You don't want to slide the book, because if it's bad enough, it could cause enough color rub to drop it down from a 9.8. So to put it on the Mylar here, we put it on the board and then put it in the bag. And as you can see, this is the silver setup, and there's just like quite a bit of movement of the book. So, you know, I actually prefer the other size better, the Comic Pro line size, better than the silver Mylar setup. And from my personal experience, when I did the modern setup from Mylar, it was too tight. You know, so in my opinion, Mylar, the MyLights Mylar, doesn't have just the perfect fit for modern books, but the Comic Pro line one fits really well. And so this is what it looks like in the Mylar. I'll put it up next to the Comic Pro line, and you know, they're negligibly different. I mean, I would say that the Comic Pro line is, you know, it holds its own against a Mylar. All right, so for this second little segment here, I'm going to show how bending the comics while they're in a box is damaging books. And we're going to use this to sacrifice this reprint of Ultimate Fallout 4 from Halloween Comic Fest. It's like $1 book or something that's already not in perfect condition. And I know sacrificing a book, but I'm hoping that sacrificing this will save thousands upon thousands of books by showing, this practice, this very common practice that really damages books. So here's the back of the spine, and as you can see, it's got some spine wear, but no like big ticks. It's got little spine stresses. This spine in itself would still get a 9.8. So we're going to see what it looks like after the test. So this is what you see all too often when people are digging for books at comic conventions or whatever. The boxes will be tight and they'll pull the book out and they'll bend it like this so they can see the cover. And then they'll push it back in. Sometimes they push it back in like that. I even see this one guy on Instagram who does previews, a big dealer who does previews of his shows, and he'll pull out an expensive book and bend it and then throw it back down. It's like, geez, man, it doesn't even stand a chance. So let's take a look at the book and see if there was any damage done to the back. And as you can see, that once potentially 9.8 book is now at best with a press like a 9.0, just riddled with ticks. So it just absolutely makes me cringe when I see people flipping through boxes and go, spine ticks all down the side, every single book, and it's just destroying comic books. So it's important to remember that when the books are pulled out of a long box like that and bent backwards, the spine ticks will show up on the back of the comic book. And so you could be digging at a con and thinking, oh man, I just found this treasure trove of Bronze Age stuff. They all look like 9/8. And if you just looked at the front and it's been set up at a con for any period of time, I can almost guarantee you that the vast majority of those don't even have a chance at 9.8 because of spine ticks on the back of the book. And this is one of the things that just gives me so much anxiety about opening a comic shop, is that inevitably people are going to be inexperienced, even experienced collectors, even people that have been in the hobby for decades. I see them pulling the books out, bending them, and putting them back in. So inevitably it's going to happen. And if you open a shop, they're just going to be doing that. So essentially, if I open a shop and have bins for people to be able to peruse, I am essentially accepting the fact that none of those books will ever be graded, which is fine. But it's just it just makes me cringe, the whole thing, because there's like no real good solution to educate people on this. Maybe you could have signs put up like, please don't bend the boards, but inevitably it's going to happen. So if you are buying raw books at conventions or comic shops or whatever the case may be, and it's a valuable book, make sure to take it out of the bag and board and check the back of the book as well. And so I want to once again just reiterate that there's tons of different bags and boards set up. And this is definitely not like the safest. This is the best setup that I found for bronze, silver, and modern for like large quantities of comics, right? If you have, more expensive stuff, there's a lot more nuance with the types of bags and boards. And we're not going to get into all of that here today, but essentially, you could find a larger Mylar bag and put some really thick backing boards in there. So like even more than one, so that they don't have any ability to bend at all. Because if you think about like the CGC bend gate that just happened, where inside of the slab, there was a very slight curve of the comic, just ever so slight in the CGC case, and you're seeing spine ticks on some of these books. Well, imagine bending it full on and the kind of damage that would do. So when it comes to the more expensive stuff, if you have more expensive stuff in your collection, you got to kind of see what works best for you, what you like the most, and experiment with different sizes and different boards, because when you start adding boards, it makes the bag tighter, and there's just a ton of nuance to that. So maybe in a future video we'll go through like a full-on in-depth storage procedures, handling procedures, like best practices for comics. But this was just a quick little video I wanted to do to put up the two things that I see over and over again that are damaging comics. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, consider hitting that subscribe button. In so doing, it will enter you to win our monthly giveaway here on the YouTube channel if you comment and like on this video as well. And if you head over to brycecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter over there, you're entered to win a free slab each and every every month you stay subscribed. Thank you so much to all of you for all the support. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video. I hope to catch you over on Whatnot on Fridays for $1 starts on slabs, and hit me up on Instagram for trades for grails and other fresh content over there. Appreciate you guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye.